Hare Krishna. You know the song, Jaya Radha Madhava? Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vānaprasthas Yamuna Tira Vānaprasthas Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Mishnapad Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Ashtottara Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Ashtottara Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnavindra Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. Hope it's legible. All right. Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriyet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, we should offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Nar Narayan Rishi, the Supremest Human Being, unto Mother Saraswati, the Goddess of Learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashta Prayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. By regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam, by rendering devotional service to the pure devotee, all that is inauspicious within the heart is destroyed almost to nil, and loving devotion to the Supreme Lord, who is glorified in transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this first day of January 2025 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are in Canto 7, The Science of God, Chapter 15, Instructions for Civilized Human Beings, text number 67. Etar anyaish tavedoktar Etar anyaish tavedoktar Vartamanaha Swakarma bihi Vartamanak Swakarma bihi Grihe api asya gatim yayad Grihe pyasya gatim yayad Rajangs tad bhakti ban naraha Rajans tad bhakti ban naraha Etaranyayishta vedoktair Vartamana swakarma bihi Grihe pyasya gatim yayad Rajangs tad bhakti ban naraha Etaranyayishta vedoktair Vartamana swakarma bihi Grihe pyasya gatim yayad Rajangs tad bhakti ban naraha. Okay, go ahead. Etaranyayishta vedoktair Tamana swakarma bihi Grihe pyasya gatim yayad Rajan tad bhakti ban naraha. Okay. Etaranyayishta vedoktair Vartamana swakarma bihi Grihe pyasya gatim yayad Rajang tad bhakti ban naraha. Etaranyayishta vedoktair Vartamana swakarma bihi Grihe pyasya gatim yayad Rajang tad bhakti ban naraha. One try. Etaranyayishta vedoktair Vartamana swakarma bihi Syagatim yayad Rajam tad bhakti ban naraha. Anyone online? Long night last night. Etai, by these ways. Anyayi, by other ways. Cha, and. Veda uktai, as directed in the Vedic literatures. Vartamanaha, abiding. Swakarma bihi, by one's occupational duties. Grihe api, even at home. Asya, of Lord Krishna. Gatim, destination. Yayat, can reach. Rajan, O king. Tat bhakti bhak, who renders devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Naraha, any person. Translation, I'll say, you say. O king, one should perform his occupational duties according to these instructions, as well as other instructions given in the Vedic literature, just to remain a devotee of Lord Krishna. Thus, even while at home, one will be able to reach the destination. All right, I'll read it all myself. O king, one should perform his occupational duties according to these instructions, as well as other instructions given in the Vedic literature, just to remain a devotee of Lord Krishna. Thus, even while at home, one will be able to reach the destination. Purport. The ultimate goal of life is Vishnu, or Krishna. Therefore, either by Vedic regulative principles or by materialistic activities, if one tries to reach the destination of Krishna, that is the perfection of life. Krishna should be the target. Everyone should try to reach Krishna from any position of life. Krishna accepts service from anyone. The Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita 9:32, those who are familiar with this verse, listen for the new translation. Mami parta vipashritya, I'll say you say. Mami parta vipashritya, yepisyu papayonayaha, striyo vaishyas tatha shudras, tepi yanti param gatim. O son of Prita, those who take shelter in me, though they be lowborn, women, Vaishyas, merchants, or Shudras, workers, will attain the supreme destination. Close quote. It does not matter what one's position is. If one aims at reaching Krishna by performing his occupational duty under the direction of the spiritual master, his life is successful. It is not that only sannyāsīs, vānaprasthas, and brahmacārīs can reach Krishna. A gṛhastha, a householder, can also reach Krishna, provided he becomes a pure devotee without material desires. An example of this is cited in the next verse. Om jnana timirandasya jnanandana shalakaya chakshu unmilitam mena tasmai shri gurave namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So the whole theme of this passage of Narada's instructions to Yudhishthira is to define what real success in life is. And he's been talking about the different these different varnas and different ashrams, and how one can, in any situation, still progress in Krishna consciousness. And so, one verse that came to mind when I was reading this purport is a famous verse from the Bhagavad Gita in the 18th chapter, and Yatak pravritya bhutanam yena sarvamidam tatam sukarmanatam abhyarcha siddhim vindati manava. The Lord is the source of all beings and is all-pervading. A person can attain perfection by worshiping Him through performance of his own work. So the idea is that you may be, and as explained in the previous verse, Mami Parta Vipashita, that women are also part of the whole equation here. Is that it's not just men, although it says a man can attain, but it means anyone can, a human being. And the idea is that we're in different situations of life. Some of us, rare, have taken to the brahmacārī ashram, sannyas ashram, vānaprastha ashram, but the vast mass of people are in household life. They're growing up in household life, or they're trying to maintain household life, and they're working. So the point is that if one accepts the instruction back in the Bhagavatam that we were reading, that as in the previous verse, let's see if I can call that. Okay. In normal conditions, in the absence of danger, O king, a man should perform his prescribed activities according to his status of life with the things, endeavors, process, and living place that are not forbidden for him, and not by any other means. So that simply means that one should work according to his psychophysical condition. One shouldn't try to prematurely become extremely renounced and chant 60 rounds, just wander around Vrindavan. The chances are that you won't be able to make it. You'll become discouraged. This is explained in the Nectar of Devotion. Means this over-endeavoring idea is that trying to immediately attain a position that you really don't have, because that's the ideal, and then becoming discouraged. Better to slowly and surely progress toward the goal under the direction of an experienced spiritual master, a bona fide spiritual master, who knows the situation of a disciple and is not going to try to push him or her to too much renunciation or too early, because that can be discouraging, and then you can go away. So this is the whole idea in Krishna consciousness, that it's for everybody. It's not just for a select few. From whatever station you happen to be at, you can integrate Krishna consciousness into your life in such a way that it's not disruptive, but rather it enhances your life, and it gives it purpose and meaning. Remember, I think the last class I gave, it was about how seeing that everything you're doing in your life is part of your devotional service. And there was this verse from the 11th canto I quoted: Kaina vacha manasindriyava bhutya manava sudana sabhavat. What is it? I forget. But whatever you're doing, think Narayanayeti samarpayetat. Whatever you happen to be doing in the day, you mold your day in such a way that you can say about it, this is a service for Narayan. Now that also includes maintaining your body, maintaining your family together. That's part of your service. If you're also trying to infuse Krishna consciousness into their lives, you make your house into a temple like that. That's the whole point. Because the science is there. It means that in our present state, in conditioned state, we're here because we forgot Krishna on purpose, so that we could try to enjoy the material world. But now, after so many eons in the material world, Brahmate wandering up and down the universe in different planets, different species, different situations, by great good fortune, the seed of the creeper of devotion was planted by the spiritual master or spiritual masters. And that can happen in different ways. It often happens by reading one of Prabhupada's books. That the interest, the original faith. You remember, I've been talking about this. This is also in the verses we were talking about, and in 17th chapter also, the divisions of faith. That how is that seed planted, and what does it consist of? Well, the seed is the holy name, and also the faith in the process. Enough faith to make you interested to pursue it, to come into the association of devotees. Best is directly, where you come to the temple and you get the actual physical association. But in today's world, you can get association. You be in the middle of nowhere, or in a country that has no temples in it, and still through the internet, if you push the right buttons, you can get onto the Dandabat.com or Desire Tree or whatever, ISKCON Desire Tree, or so many other sites in which you can hear kirtan, you can hear the lectures, you can see the deities in the temple, so many different things. As many of you know, there's this report from the TOVP about the progress. I just got on one yesterday, came out, someone sent it to the link and I got on it. And there was this whole presentation. Who's the main man? Braj, what's his name? Braj Vilas. He was there presenting it very enthusiastically. Oh, this is about to open. We opened the Nrsimha wing, and they give you a sight. It's so beautiful. And so in this way, someone who's just curious about Krishna consciousness can be infused with that all-important interest to pursue it more. In other words, that's beginning of faith. That if I investigate this, it'll be interesting, first of all, and fascinating, and even I can be part of it. Eventually you come to that point. So, and that's true, and that's why this is so ecumenical here. He's saying Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, brahmacārīs, vānaprasthas, sannyāsīs, and gṛhasthas. He went through all of the different varnas and ashrams there in the purport. So this is any status of life. When you understand the goal of your life, no matter who you are, should be to become fully Krishna conscious, go back to Godhead, get free from birth, old age, disease, and death, and be reinstated in our eternal life of bliss and knowledge. That's the ultimate goal. And you can see how, if you accept that that's a real goal and a real possibility, how it makes all the material goals completely pale, useless. Because anything you achieve in this life And you may not achieve anything. You may try very hard and you'll fail and waste it that way. But even if you achieve wealth, fame, beauty, whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, and you've actually done it, But what is that? That's just a further weight that you've attached to your soul that's keeping you bound to this material world. Now you think, oh, I've made it, and of course, along with that goes pride and all of these things which are contamination. So it's really Maya is very expert at what can I say? It's a big con, It's a big confidence game, trying to get you to believe. And most people they're not raised in devotee families, so they're not getting this knowledge. And so the will o' the wisp, if you will, of material success and beauty and getting this pleasure and that pleasure and all of these things is presented. But in the end, it all turns to dust, because you turn to dust. And where do you go? Your mind doesn't turn to dust. Your mind, intelligence, and ego, your subtle body, which is filled with all of these, fallacies of being a master and enjoyer of this world, that you take with you, and that takes you to another body. And if you perform very sinful activities, which is very likely because there's no real training in this Kali Yuga, then you may very well lose the human form of life, which is so valuable. And you just have to wait. There's no eternal damnation, but you may wait many, many years to come back. So the Bhagavatam, in every place, Prabhupada is always bringing it all back to the central point that we should act according to our psychophysical position, or position in the varna and ashram, wherever we are, wherever we're at. We need to integrate Krishna consciousness and begin to see our lives and form our lives in such a way that we're progressing on the Bhakti Marg, the path of devotional service. And that's really the only path of success in this world. Everything else is a failure, because no matter how, even the mode of goodness, you may be a kind person, you do charity and so forth. Okay, and in the next life you'll get rewarded for that. You get a better material position and like that. But ultimately, that alone that's not going to help you. If you're in the mode of goodness, if you're a vegetarian, for instance, which I noticed from the beginning, I was completely uninterested in anything spiritual until I went through a whole thing with trying to regain my health, which included a vegetarian diet. It was actually raw food with a lot of carrot juice and all these things, and yoga. So that association and that diet itself made me more receptive to the whole spiritual realm. Otherwise, as Pariksit famously says, right at the beginning of the Bhagavatam, 10th canto, at the beginning of the 10th canto, first or third, second or third verse there, he's praying to Shukadev to please now describe these wonderful pastimes of Krishna himself, in Vrindavan. After 9 cantos, he's waited. And so he says, Nivritta tarshaya rupagiyamānad babāshadat shrota manobhiramad ka-uttama shloka gunānuvārat pumanvarajeta vinapaṣugnat. Very famous verse. So Nivritta tarshaya. Tarshaya comes from the word Trishna, which means thirst. Those who are free of the thirst for material sense gratification, in other words, pure devotees. Those who are ones that were speaking. When they glorify Krishna beautifully, then Upagiyamana, they're singing the glories, which are a remedy, which are a medicine to kill, to destroy the disease of birth and death. Bhava, aushadhi. Bhava is birth and death. Bhava means becoming, and becoming born, becoming old, becoming diseased, becoming dead. So Bhava is often used for that. But this is an aushadhi. It's a medicine, but it's not a bitter medicine. Mano abhiramat. It's pleasurable for the ear and for the mind. So it's not a bitter, it's very pleasurable medicine. It's the sweetest medicine, the holy name, Kirtan, beginning. So then he says, Kautama shloka gunānuvādat pumanvarajeta. Who is that human being, who is that person who would give up hearing this wonderful, sweet vibration, which is the medicine to cure all your entanglement in the material world? Who's a fool who would give it up? Except a pashugnat. Pashugnat means a meat eater, Or one who's killing his soul, is an impersonalist, is also considered a prashugnat. You can't kill the soul, but you can put it into hibernation for a long time. So this, let's see, this verse, he says, so what he's saying is, even at home, one should perform his occupational duties according to these instructions. In other words, according to your psychophysical nature, what you can do, your position, perform your duties, but always have in your mind, as much as the goal of performing the duties. More, you don't want to just get into a realm of performing material duties for material ends, and that's basically your life. That's why it says you can perform so-called material duties, but there has to be a spiritual element to it, and that spiritual element is that you're keeping body and soul together so that you can perform bhajan, you can do all the devotional work. So, and Srila Prabhupada set up the ISKCON in such a way, as I heard on the tape, he said, so I've created it so that there's something to do for Krishna all the time. Sometimes it's taking prasadam, which is a very joyful duty, right? But if you do it in full consciousness, that's why we always sang the song. Sharada Vijajal Dadendra Dekal, right? Somehow that we've lost that tradition here. But it's important to, to realize that we're not just eating here. This is honoring prasadam. And if you realize prasadam, Krishna's tasted this, there's some beautiful verses about that in the Gopi Geet, the Jayati Tedikam, the main one. It even mentions that, what does it say? Surata Vardhanam Shokanasanam Surata Venuna Sushtichumbitam Mitraraga Vismaranang Nanang Vitadavirana Stedaramritam. So they want Krishna to return, and so that they can experience the nectar of his lips, So in that verse or another verse, they say, and prasadam is saturated with that pela. In other words, if you're conscious of that, you're thinking of that when you're taking prasadam, then it can be a wholly spiritual experience. So the point is that whatever you're doing, whether honoring prasadam or you have to work at your job, you try to infuse as much Krishna consciousness as possible. I'm doing this. I'm performing this great austerity of associating with these non-devotees at the office, if whatever it is. So that I can maintain body and soul together, so I can maintain my household together, so that I'll be able to become Krishna conscious, and so will my wife and children, or my husband, like that, whatever it may be. So there's always that Krishna conscious element in whatever you're doing. And this verse in the 11th canto makes it like so that every breath, every step that you may take, in the bottom of your mind is that, oh, I'm doing this for Krishna. I'm not just doing it for myself. I'm doing it for Krishna, even if I'm just, earning money. But that's ultimately in order to honor Krishna with my life and my family's life. That's how to infuse Krishna consciousness everywhere. There's all of these kind of techniques for that. In the 7th chapter, there's almost an echo there from the first, what does it say, the first steps in God realization, the beginning of the 2nd canto, is it? Where the description of the universal form. Universal form is not emphasized so much, but it is a way, because it's real, and Krishna displayed it to Arjuna as a certain kind of universal form, that you can see the whole world and you tie it to Krishna. What is it? What is Rasoham Apsakuntaya Prabhasmi Shashishuriyo? In the 7th chapter, I am the taste of water. Why? Because I've created the water, I've created your tongue, I've created your ability to taste it. Everything is coming from me. So therefore you can, when you drink water or any liquid, Prabhupada says, sometimes he even says wine, but he doesn't emphasize that much. You don't want to do that. But you can remember Krishna. You can say, yeah, well, this is, I can remember. And that's, oh, the sun's up? Oh, okay. Shashi Surya, I am the light of the sun and the moon. And if you go through those verses, there's 4 or 5 of them, he covers everything. He covers all the senses. I am the fragrance of the earth, right? And so, and even, sex life, that's not against religious principles. That's true, So you can, so this is a way that, because what happened there? Arjuna heard the whole 6th chapter, right? All this technical language, sitting this way, look at the tip of the nose, you practice pranayama, control the mind, fix the mind on me. So Arjuna says, no way. Chanchalamhi mana Krishna pramati balavadram. The mind is very flickering. It's very powerful. The control is like trying to control a hurricane or a tornado. I don't think I can do it, Krishna. What if I, then so Krishna says, you can do it with practice. And what if I fail? So, then you'll be reborn, you'll be born in a yogi family or a pious, wealthy family so that you can continue, But Arjuna is not very optimistic, he doesn't. So finally Krishna says, oh, okay. Yogi nama pi sarvesham madgaten antaratmana shraddhabam bhajate mam same yukta namamata. The greatest yogi is the one who is always thinking of me within his heart. And then Prabhupada said, abiding by me, but it became abides in me, which is a Bible phrase that by the first editor put in there, and it's still there. But anyway, the basic idea, Prabhupada always emphasized the idea of always thinking of me within his heart, when he would cite this verse. Right in the Bhagavad Gita, in the introduction, he cites it, and that's the translation or emphasis he gives. So Arjuna is a big sigh of relief. You can almost hear it from the pages, What a relief, because I'm already thinking of Krishna all the time. I'm worshiping him, within my heart. He's an intimate servant. But he's also serving as our representative to hear and have his doubts, cleared. So then the next chapter begins with the words Maya Sakta Manaparta. Now I'm going to tell you how a practical means for having your mind attached to me, because after all, that's what we're trying to do. So your mind is completely attached to Krishna, never wants to forget them, and you're enjoying that association. So he starts describing the earth, water, fire, air, ether. This is what our bodies are, which we're surrounded with. But there's a higher energy. Even the subtle energies, the mind, intelligence, that's also material. But apare mitastanram prakatim viddime param jiva bhuta mahabhaho yedam dharyate jagat. Besides these lower energies, there is a para prakriti, which consists of the jivas. That's us, who are sustaining this world. The word dhara is there, just like dhari, sustaining the hill. What does it say? Prakatim vid ime param, a transcendental prakriti or energy. Jiva bhutam, that's the jivas, that's us. Mahabhav yeyedam dharyate jagat. Dharyate is the same word as dhari. They're sustaining the universe. Our bodies are like little universes. I heard Prabhupada say that on a tape too. And we're in there, and that's sustained. As soon as we leave, it collapses, right? So all of that knowledge there, which is just factual Krishna's science. It's kind of science he's giving in the 7th chapter, and it's a way for anyone to start seeing Krishna everywhere, in your environment. You don't just see a tree. You say, oh, here's an unfortunate soul in the body of a tree. He must have did something, but he's part and parcel of Krishna. He's as much of a soul as I am, I do something, it's a little sentimental, please forgive me. When I walk, sometimes I touch the plants, I touch the trees. There's a sidewalk on Cass, they planted these little trees, because, they don't get much association, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I think Haridas Thakur mentioned that once you chant loudly and you go out, right, because there's all of these animals and plants, So this is how we can progress. And it's interesting, therefore, either by Vedic regulative principles or by materialistic activities, if one tries to reach the destination of Krishna. So those materialistic activities are what you have to do in order to live in this world, you see. But you should see that as part of your sadhana, All right, I'm plowing the field, whatever it is, Well, this is, simple living and high thinking. Krishna also was agrarian, he had cows, So, and that way everything becomes sanctified. Your whole life becomes sanctified. That's the whole idea. All right, any discussion on these points? Otherwise we can go on to the next verse. Why not? Yata hi yuyam nipadeva tusyajad apad ganad uttaratatmanaha prabho yat pada panke huraseveya bhavan ahar ashin nirjata dingaja kratun gaja, the elephants in here. O King Yudhishthira, because of your service to the Supreme Lord, all of you Pandavas defeated the greatest dangers posed by numerous kings and demigods. By serving the lotus feet of Krishna, you conquered great enemies who were like elephants, and thus you collected ingredients for sacrifice. By Krishna's grace, may you be delivered from material involvement, or you could say entanglement. Purport. Placing himself as an ordinary householder, Maharaj Yudhishthira inquired from Narada Muni how a grihamudha, a person who is entangled in household life and who is thus continues to remain a fool, can be delivered. Narada Muni encouraged Maharaj Yudhishthira by saying, "You are already on the safe side, because you, along with your entire family, have become a pure devotee of Krishna." Close quote. By Krishna's grace, the Pandavas conquered in the battle of Kurukshetra and were saved from many dangers posed not only by kings, but sometimes even by the demigods. Thus they are a practical example of how to live in security and safety by the grace of Krishna. Everyone should follow the example of the Pandavas, who showed how to be saved by the grace of Krishna. Our Krishna consciousness movement is intended to teach how everyone can live peacefully in this material world and at the end of life return home back to Godhead. In the material world there are always dangers at every step. Padam padam yad vipadam natesham. Nonetheless, if one takes shelter of Krishna without hesitation and keeps under the shelter of Krishna, he can easily cross the ocean of nescience. Samashritaye padapallavaplavam mahatpadam punyesho marare. To the devotee, this great ocean of nescience becomes like a puddle of water in the hoofprint of a cow. He says cow. It's actually a calf, even smaller. A pure devotee, without embarrassing himself by trying for elevation in so many ways, stays in the safest position as a servant of Krishna, and thus his life is eternally safe without a doubt. Now one may ask, well, how safe is it? I mean, what about these poor devotees in Ukraine, who are being, under attack, and some of them, I think there have been some deaths from the war. How are they safe? Well, the ultimate safety is not in the body. The ultimate safety is your consciousness. And if you're fully Krishna conscious, then whatever happens, happens. You just go on with your life, you go back to Godhead, or you stay here and you practice Krishna consciousness, try to give it to others. That's the safety. When it says that Krishna always protects his devotees, obviously the bodies of devotees are dying also. All the great devotees, their bodies left. But how they died and what their consciousness was when they died, when they left their body, is where the safety is. The real safety is your ability to remember Krishna at every moment. That's the safest place. That's and we see that this canto is of course infused mostly with the pastimes of Prahlad and the Nrsimhadev. That's the central. We read those, and we're almost finished with the canto. So Prahlad is the perfect example of that. He was free of fear because he felt protection of Krishna at every moment. He was completely absorbed. He's the acharya, or the exemplar for remembering Krishna. Each of the 9 processes has its own exemplar. Shukadev for chanting, and Parikshit for hearing, and Prahlad for remembering, and these others too, which I won't go through. So he was a perfect example of being protected, and he was to such an extent that even he was physically protected. He was just remembering Krishna, and they threw him into the boiling oil, and he didn't feel anything. And his father freaked out naturally. He had spent all these years, with this incredible austerity, getting all these powers, and he was powerful. He was running the whole universe. Even Narada Muni said, "I have to bow down to him." All the demigods except Brahma, Shiva, and of course Vishnu, and then a demigod, they all had to bow down to Hiranyakashipu. But he couldn't defeat his son, his little boy, and he was scared. That scared him. When he tried, finally, he gave his henchmen, "All right, kill him. He's like a poison tree in the forest, just kill him." So they try to crush him under the elephants, the poison snakes, throw him off the mountain, boil him in oil. Of course, they try to pierce him at first. Nothing worked. So that's real safety. Now we, can't hope to get that kind of absorption, but still, if you're sincere in devotional service, and then we've had so many devotees who died, just to have the situation where devotees will come, and I've been at a bunch of these because they like me to chant, departures, and that itself is how Krishna protects you. He gives you association so that you're surrounded by people who can remind you of Krishna, and chant the holy name, of course. So that's the protection. The protection is for your consciousness, not for the body. The body has to go eventually. But even that is there, for some at certain points. We see so many dangers that the Pandavas overcame. They were saved from, that burning house of lack, because Vidura was there to warn them. Krishna worked through Vidura to give them the warning, right? That also happens. Oh, I should turn that off. I'm sorry. So that's the lesson here. Vipadam, padam padam yad vipadam tesham. There's dangers at every step, and we should never be lax. We should see that this I've been emphasizing this verse lately in the Kevalashtaka. Have you ever heard of that, about the holy name? 8 verses about the holy name. This is a very interesting poem. It's a Kevalashtaka, and for years, the devotees would chant this. Bhaktivinoda Thakur really appreciated it. We found out a few years ago that it was written by one of his associates called Nilakanta Goswami. And it's actually 100 verses about the holy name. And maybe it was Bhaktivinoda Thakur who picked out these 8, that became known as the Kevalashtaka. Anyway, I won't go into too much detail, it's getting late. But one of those verses just always struck me as so important for us. They're all really nice. This one goes, Nikshvase nahi vishvaso yada rudho nishase nahi vishvaso kuda rudho bhavishyati kirtani matabalyad hare nama kevalam. Now you may recognize that line, hare nama kevalam. It says, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Kevalam, Kalo Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva. That Lord Chaitanya said that Ishvara Puri spoke that verse to him and said, in this age is no other way, no other way, no other way but chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name of Krishna to achieve success. So he took that one line and made it the refrain line in the verse. So this verse says, that I put it in a little poem. Remember that our final breath may come at any time. No matter if we're old and sick or in our youthful prime. So young and old alike should chant the name incessantly. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. And that idea of always chanting, well, how can I do that? I have to go to work, there's so many things, I'm sleeping, whatever. Well, the whole idea is if you really chant 64 rounds, or you try to do it, then even in your sleep you'll be chanting. You'll be so enthralled with the name. The name will be, it's so relishable that why would you ever want to stop? If you really get purified, the holy name, which is Krishna himself, it gives you this tremendous pleasure just from chanting it in kirtan or in japa or anyway. Anyway, so that's the idea, is that Krishna will protect the more we're surrendered we are, and the more eager we are to chant and hear and preach and do everything we're supposed to do. We'll feel Krishna's protection. Okay, so it's late, and I did do that one poem, but I'd like to do one more, and then we can adjourn. So this is a verse you may recognize. Cheto Darpanamarjanam. Cheto Darpanamarjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreyak Kaidavachandika Vatadanam Vidyavadhu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Padipadam Purnamita Swadanam Sarvatmasnapadam Padam Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. All glory to the chanting of Sri Krishna's holy names, which easily extinguishes samsara's blazing flames by polishing the lust-encrusted mirror of the heart. That chanting is the waxing moon that knows the secret art of causing the white lotus of good fortune to unfurl its petals far and wide throughout this bleak and blighted world. Of transcendental knowledge which will take us to life's goal, the chanting of the name of Krishna is the life and soul. The ocean The ocean of ecstatic bliss floods far beyond its bounds, wherever Krishna's merciful and mystic name resounds. Indeed, whenever Krishna's names are sung in congregation, at every step one tastes a joy that knows no limitation. So hear with great attention as I earnestly request, please chant ye Krishna's holy names and be supremely blessed. The soothing nectar of the name will bathe your consciousness, bestow pure love for Krishna, and eradicate distress. There it is. Hare Krishna. And I haven't seen you before. I don't know if you listen online, but 24 years ago now, in Mayapur, were you there? You were there when I chanted that? No? You don't remember? Anyway, I got to chant this, the whole 8 verses, with the poem and kirtan, in the temple room. There were many devotees there. They were doing a kirtan, and then they would, So, do you know Vyasaki? Do you know, ever that name ring a bell? Anyway, he's one of the main kirtaniyas. He was there with his harmonium, and Indra was behind me, and Radhanath Swami. There were all these. Well, I was nervous because I hadn't rehearsed. The devotee asked me, "You got to do it." I said, "Yeah, you have to do it." So I went up on the stage. I said, "Okay, Krishna." I made a few muffs, but and I didn't even know it was being recorded. There was this Russian boy who was taking video of it. The next day he gave me an MP3. Those were the days of all the MP3s. And so I didn't put it up on YouTube, but somebody did some years ago. Anyway, if you're interested, you get on YouTube and you search for Dravida, D-R-A-V-I-D-A, space, Mayapur, and it'll come up there and you can listen to some devotees. Yeah. There's a word. You can add it to your vocabulary. It's a real word, but it's not so common in American dictionaries. Ecstasize. It sounds like exercise, but it's not exercise. Ecstasize means to go into ecstasy or to put someone else into ecstasy. I said, well, we need this word. We should integrate it into so that's, maybe it'll exercise you a little bit. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Hare Bol. And please forgive me if it was kind of all over the place because I only got 2 hours sleep. We were on the street doing the Harinam. You were there, I think. And so I got to bed at 1:15, got up at 3 o'clock. So now I'm going to go to sleep again. And you want to make an announcement?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hare Bol.
Oh, okay. All right, but you have to tell them that it was given to you by Dravida.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course. Yes. Thank you.